I don't think they're gaining strength. What is true is that from the start, our goal has been first to contain, and we have contained them. They have not gained ground in Iraq, and in Syria, they'll come in, they'll leave, but you don't see this systematic march by ISIL across the terrain.
Well, President Obama, making those remarks the same day ISIS terrorists launched the horrific attacks on Paris that have now claimed the lives of 129, including at least one American, and have wounded over 300. So could this be a wake-up call for President Obama and his administration to start taking the terror group seriously? Joining us right now to entertain that thought and so much more is Lieutenant Colonel Ralph Peters, a best-selling author as well as a military strategist who actually fights in these wars. Colonel, your reaction to the president's policy prior to the attacks as opposed to now?
Well, I just don't think you're going to see a significant change. You will see some gestures. Obama will talk a good fight, as he always does. But we are simply unwilling to do what it takes to exterminate Islamic State. I mean, you've got to kill a lot of people. You can't win this war with lawyers determining which targets you can and cannot attack. You cannot win this war unless you're willing to accept collateral damage and civilian casualties. I mean, they are deeply embedded in Raqqa. We know which buildings they're in Raqqa, but we won't hit them because of the fear of collateral damage and civilian casualties. So we want to make war nice. For instance, after the burning alive of that Jordanian pilot, the obvious weapon to reply with was napalm. We don't use napalm anymore. Napalm is a terrific weapon for dealing with troops in the open when you got them out there. And people say, oh, that's mean, that's cruel. War is cruel. War is savage. But, Brian, the one thing the left refuses to understand is that the least cruel way to wage war is to wage it hard and fast and overwhelmingly at the start. In the end, it produces far fewer deaths. But the comparison that's been used to cancer by many people is apt. Malignant tumors don't get better on their own. Islamist terrorism doesn't go away on its own. And the president's policy of strategic patience has only allowed Islamic State to get bigger, bolder, more skilled. They've now got a deep bench of leaders, a deep bench of combat veterans. You saw in Paris, they know how to work against our intelligence systems now. We have allowed them to mature, and the threat, Paris is a start, not an end.
It was a multifaceted, sophisticated attack.
Very
sophisticated. You have a country to plot and plan, and you can tax, and you have a judicial system. It makes it a lot easier as opposed to sketching something out on a cave like bin Laden ended up doing for his last few years on the planet. My question to you is, if we turned the keys over to the Pentagon and we told our strategists to win the war, could they do it?
Technically, yes. But I'm afraid the political correctness is so deeply embedded in the Pentagon now that it would be a struggle to find leaders who are ruthless enough to win. Because every generals, they're looking, and colonels, they're looking over their shoulder wondering if they'll be court-martialed because a bomb went astray. You saw our cowardly response to the minor event in Kunduz when Médecins Sans Frontières Hospital, which had been harboring terrorists, was attacked. We rushed to apologize instead of saying, sorry, it was a mistake, war is brutal, you made the choice to be there. I mean, you cannot do that. You got to get the lawyers out of there. You got to get the false aid organizations out of there, and you got to give our generals and admirals a one-word order.
Colonel, do you know when we understood that? We understood that after 9/11. No one was worried about politics then, and then little by little we changed and we start suing, pursuing, and investigating. So what's it going to take to get that attitude and mindset back?
Well, first of all, you're going to have to reassure our military that they're not going to be court-martialed every time they make a minor mistake. I mean, we've lost the will to win. And what the greatest advantage the jihadis have over us, by far, is the will to win. They are in Paris. You can't call those terrorists cowards. You can call them monsters, but they were willing and committed to die for their beliefs, for their cause. We want to count votes. We're worried about press coverage, what the lawyers are going to say. We don't have the strength of will they've got. And it means until we find that strength of will again, and unfortunately it's going to take more tragedies to get us there, far more tragedies, until we find that strength of will, that commitment to win at any cost, we will keep losing.
I tell you, you talk to more than I do, but I talk to as many as a civilian can. And these guys and women that fight these wars and have been there, part of the surge, they want to go back and finish the job. They think about it every day. And we just have to give them the opportunity to do it and let them go out and get that ultimate victory, and don't pull up before we do. Colonel, always great to talk to you.
Thank you, Brian.